Here we go, number 1. Now remember the random number table? So, got to remember there's only 75 in this group of volunteers. So let's go through it. 22, 36, 84 is not going to work. So then we go to 65, 73, 95 is not going to work. 22 is not going to work because we already have 22, and 58, which gives us letter C. So remember, no repeats, and remember how many you have in the group. Number 2. So these two groups take this math test, which means they're going to get a score. It's not a yes or no answer. A yes or no answer, like they either passed or didn't pass, that would be proportion, the proportion of students that pass the test. It's not a match pairs because we have two different groups. Match pairs would be if one group did a test and then they had the procedure and then took a similar test, same group of people. So anyway, we're down to a 2-sample t-test. Number 3, here is the formula for getting a confidence interval. And so letter C fits that formula. Letter A, B, and C are very similar. This one, these numbers are way too big. Remember, we're going to add or subtract that amount to this number. So that would give us a really big number. And then there's no square root on this one, which leaves us right there with letter C. Number 4. So this is the type of question that shows up a lot on these tests. And this 2% is really this right here, the margin of error, the amount that we're going to add or subtract. So it should look like this. In the question, they don't give you the proportion. So when we don't have that, remember, the safe one is just 0.5. So 0.5 and 1 minus 0.5 gives us this. Then it is up to you to do some algebra to get n by itself. And when you do that, you should come out with that, pretty close to that, as the answer. Okay, this is from, chapter 11, chi-square tests. And we just went over this recently. How do we find the expected value? So remember, I always say that I try to look at making that square. So we're looking at musical and orchestra like this. So we make that square like this. The expected value would be here. We take the row total times the column total divided by the table total. So like I said, I kind of make a square with that. So it would be 189 times 90 divided by 302. That would be your expected value. And there it is, letter D. This is a tricky one, and I don't know what to tell you on this, except hopefully you came down to maybe crossing off a few. I think I did this. I came down to maybe it was A, maybe it was E, and I did pick E. And one of the reasons is for maximum control, each person should type the same passage with both keyboards, and you would randomly select how that works. But anyway, the answer is E. So number 7, this one is a geometric probability. Remember where we say, okay, we just keep doing this thing until we get a success. Well, 3% of the boxes have this holographic card, and they say, what's the probability that you will get it on the 5th box, which means you didn't get it on the first 4. Well, what's the probability that you don't get a card? Well, it's 0.97. So the first box, 0.97, you didn't get a card. Next box, again, there was a 97% chance you don't get a card. And the next box, right, the 3rd box, and the 4th box, that's what happened. You did not get a card. Now on the last box, you get the card, okay? You get a success on your 5th box. So That is right there. We multiply all these probabilities together like this. And the answer is B. Okay, let's look at number 8. Okay, so one of the keys here is that they are timing these kids on taking this test. And what they do is the time it takes after versus the time it takes before. So you would think that it would take longer before and then after. That's for a success, right? They get better at it afterwards, they're faster. So if we take a smaller number, right, less time minus a longer time, you're going to get a negative number. That's if the kids are getting better. And that's showing right here, letter A. See, here's 0. And a lot of the kids are having a negative number, meaning they're getting faster. This number is smaller than that number. It takes less time. Let's go to number 9. Now don't forget that when we look at a box plot, this is 25% of our data. Here's 25%, here's 25%, here's 25%. This is right in the middle. This is our median. And this is Q1 and Q3. Okay. Now at first I thought it might be letter A, because it looks like this distance and this distance look pretty similar. But I did come down with this one. Half of the data in plot 2. So half of the data in plot 2. So that here it is, 50%, right? From here to here is above 75% of the data in plot 1. This also is a classic question that will be on a AP exam. Just like this, actually, comparing these box plots with the percentages of the data. So C is the answer. Number 10. Now, I thought they might use the word median since this is the median, but since they're saying mean, it's just the overall scores, right? So it just looks like Breedy College is doing better overall than Buckley. And then they talk about the variability, which means it's kind of like this spread here. It means that the scores are more spread out. They're doing better, but lots of highs and lots of lows, versus Buckley is more consistent but lower. Anyway, if you look at these, I know this is kind of fuzzy here, but if you look at your sheet, D, students at Breedy College have a higher mean score. Yes, they're higher. And exhibit more variability. Yes, higher score and more variability. That's letter D. Okay, that's 10.